Good day. My name is Carlos Anderson, research paper vocational rehab for my capstone project. Vocational rehab. Vocational rehab programs. As a basic information, the background and related information of the VR&E program, who qualify or what is needed to enroll or be granted access to it, what offered to all veterans, and what is about. The next slides will explain in more detail the general information obtained at the Veterans Affairs main webpage. Vocational rehab. Main objective of vocational rehab. Employment, career, entrepreneurship preparation. This is going to be a physically, body, and awareness growth. Traditional and cultural services, spiritual self-determination project. Advocacy support, emotional self-esteem, nourishment. Educational assistance, wholeness and self-awareness. To serve, to serve eligible people with disabilities in obtaining and retaining employment. This is commensurate with abilities, interests, and limitations, meeting the individual rehabilitation needs of each person, managing the financial resource, provide services that are both necessary and reasonable. The main aim for the vocational rehab is to relocate a veteran into a new employment, bringing in some of the previous knowledge from the military, transitioning to the civilian world, and being able to allocate a category of education for further opportunity on the work or employment market. Vocational rehab mission offer comprehensive service and assistance required to enable veterans with service-connected disabilities and unemployment handicap to acquire firm and appropriate employment. Support veterans to attain maximum independence in daily living when the severity of their disabilities prohibits appropriate employment. Services provided but not limited by the VRNE are the most common for the agency for funding for higher education, career counseling, and short-term employment service like job searching. The full range of services that VR&E agencies are required to make available to entitled clients, however, is much broader and includes a very specialized service for workers with disabilities. Again, the mission is to relocate educationally and work placement for our veterans. Now we walk into the requirements for eligibility. VR&E application process has two ways to determine between a veteran's application for VRE and his or her receipt of service, eligibility, and entitlement. To be eligible for VRE service, a veteran must have served on or after September 16 of 1940, have received or will receive a discharge under conditions other than dishonorable, have a service-connected disability rating of 10% or more. Active duty. Service members are eligible for VRNE services if their service-connected disabilities are reasonably expected to be rated at a minimum of 20% following the discharge. All this information can be also found under VR benefits vocational education. The next slide shows us a chart for the fiscal year of 2021, employment placements. The chart above shows the percentage of the careers fields where the VRNE veterans found work in the year of 2021. These numbers are set on main categories as they represent the most recent placements by preference on type or style of sector, as well as common traits related to the armed forces services. The overall general field of service or careers are technical certifications of managerial discipline, which can be utilized for most business. You can see that the private sector is the one that has the most following for the federal government. And then we have our rural FBCOs and state and local government. Following the slide before, now we are here on the 2021 career categories of rehabilitated veterans. This shows the most common categories, the number of veterans, and the average annual wages at the rehabilitation. We can see on this chart the participation of the most common vocational rehab programs categories which veteran preference has been surveyed. As well, this chart shows 2021 numbers of veterans enrolled on the program as the tendency seems to incline towards professional, technical, and managerial. We can finalize with the very last of the information provided on the chart, which reflects the annual projection on wage utilized and spent by the vocational rehabilitation program on each category. On this slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personal background prior to vocational rehab. As a former Navy vet, my rate or MOS, specialty or trade, was aviation structural mechanic. I mainly work with aircraft maintenance, which covers most parts of the aircraft but the electronics. I was able to obtain my AMP while my time in service. Sadly, I developed a medical condition that cost me my career in the aviation field and my time in service. Regardless of the honorable discharge and the benefits granted upon my determination of my service, my ability to perform my rate on the civilian work was limited or discarded, which grant me an opportunity to be introduced to the vocational rehab program, which has allowed me to spend the last 4 years pursuing a higher education with the aim and hopes to find a stable job placement. Next slide, the vocational rehabilitation importance on my career. To answer this question, with this subtalk is important for my career. Well, thanks to this program, I was able to have access to education at no cost to me, giving me a second chance to find a new trade to perform to support my family and redirect my focus and energy, giving me a sort of a goal to achieve and see through. The transition from military to civilian is not an easy task. For most people, it feels like hitting a wall, or even give you a sense of being in the wrong place. I am a true believer that programs like vocational rehab are implemented to create and give veterans a second chance in education to excel themselves and to be able to obtain an alternative source of retained employment. For we come to the summary and conclusion. Today we introduce briefly what vocational rehab program is about and what has to offer to all veterans. We share the mission, objective, and benefits. We share and explain data issued by the VAR that shows past records of programs and grants utilized by veterans. It reflects the categories, trends on which employments are or career goals are trending for among the veterans, how many positions veterans have utilized the program, and the cost of it. Um, as a conclusion of a personal side, I personally feel attached to this program due to the part of the same being said that I'm thankful for the experience that I have been able to cross to FSCJ has been able to give me an educational field. Every course taken since day one has been an addition on an ascendant note, like one to another, taking me to this final course. The knowledge obtained will not end with me. It will be passed on to my peers and it will continue to share what I have learned and maintain my curiosity to learn more. We feed our bank of knowledge as much as we intended. We are the only ones that control how far we can reach in this life. We are the only ones that set walls or ladders. We are the only ones that can reach the desired goal, surpass, and repeat. That should be my final closing statement as my personal experience is granted.